What if history as we know it is a carefully constructed illusion? What if textbooks, archives, and official narratives are missing one of humanity's greatest civilizations, one so advanced that it could rival or even surpass our modern age? Welcome to the enigma of Tartaria, a supposed lost empire erased from memory. For centuries, maps and travelers' accounts hinted at its existence. Tartaria stretched across Eurasia, covering vast lands with cities, trade, and knowledge. Yet today, most historians claim it never existed. Could this really be a mistake, or was it deliberately erased? This story is not just about lost buildings or forgotten kings. It's about the possibility that we once lived in a world powered by free energy, ruled by knowledge, and connected through advanced architecture that still stands today. If true, Tartaria could be humanity's greatest cover-up. Old maps from the 16th to 19th centuries boldly displayed Tartaria as a vast empire. From Russia to Asia and even parts of Europe, the landmass appeared consistently. These were not sketches of imagination. They were crafted by respected cartographers of their time. Why chart an empire that never existed? The question becomes even more puzzling when you realize how abruptly Tartaria disappeared from maps. One century it stretched across continents. The next, it was gone, vanished like smoke. Could this be evidence of a historical reset? Some suggest that these maps were not mistakes but breadcrumbs left behind. Each surviving piece of cartography becomes a silent witness, a reminder that the world once acknowledged an empire now missing from our collective memory. Walk through the streets of St. Petersburg, Istanbul, or even parts of Chicago, and you'll find colossal buildings with immense domes, arches, and columns. These structures look centuries ahead of their time. Who built them, and why do they look eerily similar across the globe? Many attribute them to ordinary architects of the 18th and 19th centuries. Yet their scale, precision, and energy-efficient designs suggest something more advanced. Could these be remnants of Tartarian cities repurposed by later societies? If Tartaria was real, its architecture may still surround us, disguised as classical or imperial design. These buildings may be living fossils of a forgotten age of engineering. One of the strangest mysteries tied to Tartaria is the mud flood theory. Across the world, buildings appear to have buried floors, windows underground, and entrances below street level. Was this the result of natural disasters, or a global event that reset civilizations? Some believe a worldwide catastrophe submerged entire cities in mud. Others argue it was a deliberate cover-up, burying Tartarian cities to erase their existence. Either way, the evidence is hard to ignore. The mud flood may not just be a geological curiosity, it could be the smoking gun, proof that Tartaria's cities were literally buried to conceal their advanced culture and technology. Across Europe, Asia, and the Americas, star-shaped forts remain etched into the earth. Their precision is breathtaking, with geometric patterns aligned to astronomical movements. Who designed these massive fortresses, and why do they appear globally? Traditional historians claim they were military defenses, but why would cultures separated by oceans build identical star forts? Could these be remnants of a Tartarian system of energy grids, aligned with natural forces? The striking similarities suggest more than coincidence. These structures could be pieces of a forgotten global knowledge, evidence that Tartaria tapped into universal principles of geometry and energy. Rumors of free energy devices tied to Tartaria have long fascinated researchers. Towers resembling Tesla's Wardenclyffe appear in old photographs. Strange antennas crown domes of ancient buildings. Could Tartaria have mastered energy transmission centuries ago? If true, this would explain the consistency of their architecture. Imagine cities powered not by coal or oil, but by natural energy harnessed directly from the earth and atmosphere. It would mean Tartaria lived in harmony with forces modern science still struggles to control. This possibility terrifies those invested in our current system. A world with free energy, would collapse the industries built on scarcity. Could this be the real reason Tartaria's legacy was buried? The Great Fire of Chicago in 1871 destroyed thousands of buildings. Similar citywide fires occurred in Boston, San Francisco, and beyond. While explained as tragic accidents, some suspect they were intentional resets, burning away Tartarian architecture. These fires conveniently struck cities filled with colossal stone buildings that seemed far too advanced for their supposed builders. What better way to rewrite history than to destroy the evidence? Fire can erase documents, archives, and the narrative of a people. If Tartaria once thrived in these cities, its memory may have been literally reduced to ash. Travelers' accounts from centuries past mention Tartaria with casual certainty. Merchants, explorers, and even ambassadors described its vast lands and people. Yet today, these records are dismissed as exaggerations or errors. Why ignore so many consistent accounts? Were these men and women mistaken, or were their stories inconvenient truths that contradicted the narrative? If Tartaria was acknowledged in plain words by those who visited, then erasing it required silencing not just archives, but living memory. This makes the cover-up even more chilling. Legends across cultures speak of giants, towering beings who built massive structures beyond human capability. Could these tales be rooted in Tartarian history? Skeletons of unusual size have allegedly been uncovered, only to disappear into museum vaults. If Tartaria employed giants or genetically distinct humans, it would explain the scale of their architecture. Buildings with doors too large, ceilings too high, and staircases impractical for ordinary people suddenly make sense. Perhaps the erasure of Tartaria wasn't just about culture and technology. Maybe it was about hiding an entire race of beings who lived alongside us. Symbols etched into Tartarian structures often resemble universal patterns, sun motifs, sacred geometry, and enigmatic inscriptions. Could these symbols hold clues to their lost knowledge? Language has always been the keeper of culture. If Tartaria had a unique writing system or coded language, erasing it would erase their identity. The disappearance of Tartarian scripts may have been deliberate, but the symbols remain, carved into stone, defying time. They whisper of a culture that understood the cosmos far better than we give them credit for. Evidence of Tartaria isn't limited to one continent. From Asia to the Americas, similar architecture, city planning, and star forts appear. Could Tartaria have been a truly global civilization? If they spanned continents, Tartaria challenges our very timeline of exploration and discovery. It suggests that humanity was interconnected long before Columbus set sail. This global footprint hints at something monumental. Tartaria may not just have been advanced, but also united, an empire that bridged worlds we now consider separate. Some researchers argue that Tartaria fell victim to a great reset. Catastrophic floods, wars, and artificial disasters may have wiped out their cities, leaving only ruins for others to claim. A reset allows victors to inherit advanced cities and claim them as their own. This may explain why so many 18th and 19th century governments suddenly built grand capitals in suspiciously short spans of time. If true, the reset wasn't just a natural disaster. It was a calculated event, designed to erase Tartaria and replace it with the narrative we are taught today. Religious institutions have long been gatekeepers of history. Could they have played a role in erasing Tartaria? Stories of advanced civilizations challenge biblical timelines and doctrines. If Tartaria wielded technology resembling divine miracles, it would threaten established powers. Erasing their memory would preserve authority and prevent questions. The silence of religious archives may not be ignorance, it may be complicity. A civilization that rivaled God in power had to be forgotten. Whispers persist of secret libraries holding Tartarian knowledge. Locked in the Vatican, hidden in private collections, or destroyed in wars, these archives may contain the lost chronicles of an erased empire. Why would institutions hoard such records? Because knowledge is power. If Tartaria discovered secrets of energy, medicine, or human origins, revealing them could destabilize modern society. The archives remain hidden, but even fragments could rewrite history. What little escapes into public view fuels the fire of speculation. If Tartaria truly existed, it changes everything. It means humanity has lived through cycles of rise and reset. It means our current civilization may not be the pinnacle we think it is. It would also mean that knowledge of free energy, global unity, and advanced architecture once flourished, and could again. Tartaria's erasure becomes not just a tragedy, but a warning. The greatest fear is this: if Tartaria was erased once, what prevents it from happening again? Could we too be wiped from memory in the future? Even if Tartaria remains hidden, its whispers refuse to die. The maps, the ruins, the architecture, all hint at a civilization erased but not silenced. Perhaps the real story of Tartaria lies not in proving its existence, but in questioning why it was erased. Who benefits from our ignorance? And what truths are still being hidden? The legacy of Tartaria is not just about the past, it is about the future, about whether we will accept the history given to us or search for the history that was stolen. So what if Tartaria was the real lost civilization, more advanced than we can imagine? What if our skyscrapers and technologies are but shadows of what came before? The possibility lingers, written in stone, carved into maps, and buried in mud. The question remains: are we brave enough to uncover it? Or will we, like Tartaria, vanish beneath the weight of a rewritten history? If you found this story compelling, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Together, we can keep alive the search for the truths they tried to bury. Because history isn't just about the past, it's about who controls the future.